Christ is risen.
Truly.
Христос воскрес.
Воистину
Христос
воскрес.
анести.
Христос анести.
Амасия кам.
Аким кам.
Christe egerega.
Чешмая агадина.
Brothers and sisters, we are speaking today, of course, about blindness. Not literal blindness, but spiritual blindness. And we can describe blindness in this context as a loss of perspective, when we don't really understand the fullness of the truth that we seek to perceive. And this is because, as human beings and living in the fallen world, we lack God's perspective, which is the complete story, the complete point of view, the absolute ultimate truth about things. And for this, we substitute our own perspective, which is a personal one, limited and subject to the passions. I mean, for example, if you ever saw someone get angry, and the things that come out of an angry person's mouth, you know right away that as soon as they become angry, they have lost perspective. We assert that we are right, best, and true on the basis of our own limited experience. We have really nothing else to go on, but we put so much confidence in that limited experience that we are quickly led into error. The way that we relate to the created world is another manifestation of our lack of perspective. We assert our very limited control over things. And the way that we treat them and the way that we use them prevents them from becoming vehicles of grace for us. We think we know how best to use the created world, the things that have been given to us, but we subject them to a kind of brutal consumerism, taking them, using them, and discarding them very quickly. The ecological harm that mankind has brought to the world is an overwhelming reality of staggering proportions. Our misuse of the world, our misunderstanding of it, is revealed in our lack of wonder and awe at the creation. The fact that we can deal with it in such a shallow way. And we no longer see it as the reflection of God's glory. In our relationships with others, here again, we take them for granted. And we forget the sacramentality of the person. What does that mean, the sacramentality of the person? Nothing other than simply that they can become vehicles and mediators of God's grace in unique ways, in ways that are tailored to minister to us. But very often we value other people only in purely worldly ways. If someone has wealth, success, celebrity, then we consider them to be important. And otherwise, we do not. We look down on and we ignore the poor, the homeless, the foreigner, the immigrant. All of those people who we are told in the gospel that we should cherish and defend. Even though we sing the Beatitudes every Sunday, we don't really listen to them, because they are telling us that the poor and the weak, the meek, the peacemakers, are the ones who are so important, who are blessed by God in a special way. We have forgotten the parable of the Good Samaritan, someone who cares for those who are in need, with no thought of repayment. We have forgotten the commandments that whatever we do to others, we are doing to God Himself. We have also forgotten that we cannot be any closer to God than we are to any other person. And in our blindness, we fail to treat others with respect, concern, and compassion. We are indifferent to other people, and we remain ignorant of their needs. But the parable of the blind man doesn't end with him remaining in his state of blindness. Jesus reaches to him, and he touches him in a way that restores his sight. We are not obliged to remain in blindness either. But our healing will not begin unless we recognize the personal forms of blindness that we struggle with. In order to remove our personal blindness, first we must identify it and understand it. And this is a work and an effort that is required on our part to see more perfectly and completely the truth about ourselves and others. That work is a holy thing, and if we undertake it, we will be sanctified by that work. Don't excuse yourself then for being blind. Study and learn about yourself. See your limitations and blind spots. With God's grace, move beyond them to a fuller picture of who you are and of who you are created to be. Christ is risen.
Truly.
In peace, let us break before